Get it started. Yep. All right. Hey, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We will get rolling in just a second. While we're waiting, why don't you go ahead and leave your um, name and where you're from in the chat.
And let
We'll
us
see.
know if you went to a No Kings event.
Oh, yeah, where'd you go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, while we're waiting for folks to file in, I have a couple of just housekeeping things. First of all, just intro for those of you who are not um, familiar with us, and this is maybe your first time because we have an awesome guest joining the Demcast Democracy Briefing. We are a 501c4 nonprofit organization dedicated to spreading pro-democracy messages online and fighting against MAGA disinformation. We do that by recruiting and training and deploying regular people, all of you who have social media accounts, big or small, across all different platforms to spread pro-democracy messages and we do that. Sometimes we do that all together at the same time, and sometimes it's also just a 24/7 365 operation. And if you have not yet fully joined Demcast and all the different ways that you can connect with us, you can go to demcast.com/team and join up. Thanks, John. John said he loves my hair tonight. Right on. Worked on it for hours. Actually, just took my hat off. Sometimes if you brush your hair and then you wear a hat for a while, it just comes out perfect.
I have to give a shout out to a fellow Salt Lake City person. So, woohoo!
Hey, hey, Bill. Um, okay, and why don't we have some other stuff that we'll touch on the back end of our conversation with Malcolm, but why don't we just go ahead and get right into it? We are super excited to have a friend of the program, Malcolm Nance here. Malcolm is a U.S. Navy intelligence vet, leading expert in counterterrorism and information warfare, and one of the clearest voices warning about the threat of authoritarianism and disinformation. 30 years in naval cryptology, serving in combat zones across the Middle East, Africa, and the Balkans. Malcolm turned his expertise to protecting our democracy from within, authoring bestsellers like The Plot to Betray America and They Want to Kill Americans. He's been on the ground with other vets in American cities like Washington, D.C., where he's witnessed firsthand the dangers of militarization and the rise of political extremism. And as the founder of FAFO, most aptly named PAC in the world, Malcolm continues his mission to defend democracy and confront authoritarian threats head on. Malcolm, we're super excited to have you. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I'm actually reporting not from my home in upstate New York. I am in the Laurentian Mountains outside of Montreal, Canada right now, doing what I call elegant exile. And I'm not actually in exile. I had a summer home up here. We have a summer home that we come to, but I get all my best work done up here because when I'm across the border, which is about 45 minutes an hour away from me, the stress levels are astronomical when I cross over the border back into the United States. And when I get home, all I do is, doom scroll, read the news, have to clean my house, and prepare for trouble. Because, all of us who are in the resistance here in the United States have to actually imagine that there may and has already come a time where American citizens have been arrested for their own free speech. The guy was arrested in Tennessee for posting a meme with Trump, and the sheriff just went out, found a DA, arrested the guy. He's been in jail for a month, already. And I hope he's just relaxing in there so that he can, get 10 million bucks out of them and write his magnum opus. But that's what I'm doing. I'll be back in the States to vote tomorrow. And, because we have a lot of elections that are important right now. But I'm just glad to be here.
Amazing. Well, congrats for your elegant exile. I love that. I'm
It's
gonna
an
use
industry. They
that.
could be, it's Americans everywhere up here.
Yeah, I bet. So I know that you've been on the ground in some cities where Trump's been deploying
Yeah.
federal forces and even National Guard. What like what do you see as sort of his next steps in that regard, and kind of getting at what regular Americans can do to, fight those fascist forces invading our cities?
Well, there's a lot you can do, but first, let me talk about what's going on here. If
Yeah.
for those of you who are on Substack, know that I run a big Substack blog, and every Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock, I do a broadcast with Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's former lawyer who went to jail, and Lev Parnas, Aaron Parnas' father. And we call it Unleashed, right? Substack Unleashed. I call it Two Felons and a Spy. But, what we do is we sit around and we talk from the perspective of two guys that have a combined 13 years of day-to-day experience of working with Donald Trump. And yes, they were conservatives at one point, but, our side has a big enough tent that we can allow people that have seen the error of their ways, come in and work with us. That's why we have a lot of great former conservatives like Joe Walsh, is an awesome guy. Michael Steele, former chairman of the Republican Party. So people like this, we cannot afford to just ignore them, say, oh, he used to work for Trump. These people went to prison because Trump put them in prison. And the reason I bring them up is because they really understand what's going on in Trump's mind. They have made decisions for Trump on the basis of things he's asked them to do. So I recently wrote a Substack called "The Man Who Wants You Dead," and it was based on a conversation I had with them. And I said, "Okay, is Trump going to order American citizens killed? Like, I want this person dead, or I want you to do this action that I know will result in dead Americans, right?" And they said, no way. That's not the way this guy works. He speaks in mafia boss tones. And what he does is he escalates. And as you can see from his conversation this week, he has got it into his head that the Supreme Court has given him the power to do anything. He said that about these extrajudicial killings he was doing in Venezuela. I have the power. The Supreme Court said, dot, dot, dot. And when that starts processing, he's like a kid with he's like I call him a drunk monkey with an AK-47, right? He'll start dancing and shooting in every direction, and the loud noises only make him happier. So this whole conversation of what Trump is doing is a series of escalations, but they want to do it not to satisfy the law. They want to do it to entertain the MAGA base. So everything you see is a reality TV show. Lev Parnas is big on explaining this guy only works in terms of television. And so, first, he wants the image of U.S. soldiers, rough and tough soldiers, right? The same guys that refused to march for him on June 14th, right? On No King's Day, on his birthday. He likes them sitting out in front of government buildings in armor with weapons. He loves this image. And so when they deployed troops to Washington, D.C. this summer, I took my pack, FAFO pack, and we went down and joined forces with Remember Your Oath, which is run by Jolly Good Ginger, who's a former vet. He bought a bunch of vets to Union Station and is running an occupation tent right there at the front of Union Station. And I knew immediately he had raised like a boatload of money, like $100,000. But I know how PACs are. You just cannot access that money. He wasn't even stood up as a nonprofit. So FAFO PAC, which I run, right, which you all understand what FAFO stands for, right? It stands for Focused Action, Focused Objectives. That's what it stands for. But it really means what it means. And myself and Marcus Flowers stood up FAFO PAC in order to do what many people like to refer to as good trouble, right? As we were told by John Lewis, get into good trouble. I am all about fun trouble. Okay? Doing things which people would not expect you to do, which is not only fun to do, but entertaining for everyone involved. And one of the things that I set up with Remember Your Oath was we went out, we bought them tents, tables, chairs, microphones, everything that they needed to sustain a 24-hour operation, which is they've been doing since August. And so what we did was, first thing I recommended to them was we borrowed a giant loudspeaker, and I found for them General Milley's retirement speech. We don't declare an oath to, we don't take an oath to a king, we don't take an oath to a queen, we don't take an oath to a dictator, we don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator. And the full speech is just riveting. It's riveting. And so we started playing this right at Union Station in front of the soldiers. And the first thing we noticed was it goes very quiet in front of Union Station and everyone listens. So we came up with the brilliant idea of playing this nonstop for 18 hours. Non-stop. Every soldier, as they rotated out, when they came back to Union Station, General Milley in their face. We didn't have to say a word to the soldiers. The speech did all the talking for us. Then again, some other people have been having even more fun than we have by following soldiers in DC playing the Star Wars Imperial March. I am a big advocate of that, right?
Yeah.
Because we need to, one, put it within the context of how ridiculous it is to have Ohio National Guard soldiers in DC losing time with their family, not doing their day job, not getting their full pay. And now the sergeant that was involved in that incident, who had the person arrested for following them, has now been personally sued. And guess who will not represent him? The U.S. Army will not represent him. The National Guard will not represent him. MAGA will not represent him. It's ideas like that. Another one that I enjoyed was using glitter in Los Angeles protests, because what do they say? Glitter is the herpes of arts and crafts. You cannot get it out of your clothes. And how are you not going to convince your wife you weren't out with a stripper named Tinkerbell on stage 3 if you got glitter on your gear, right? So these are the sort of fun, trouble things we want people to do, but it goes much further than that. I know I talked a lot, but that's what's going on out there. Is we be prepared for an occupation of all major American cities and to confront ICE wherever you see them. This is an un-American Gestapo organization, and it's going to be your job to open your mouth and exercise your First Amendment right.
And absolute invitation to come out to Portland here.
Oh yeah,
we'd love
I just
to have
interviewed 2 journalists from Portland, and great interview. And of course, I asked them how many guardsmen were down at Voodoo Donuts, or in Powell's books, and they made a raid near Powell's, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I'd be glad to come out to Portland to lend a hand.
Yeah, we would love to have you and have you on the dangerous ones. So Demcast obviously is an organization that focuses on the online narrative, and do you have advice for us as a digital army about what content we should be focused on spreading to help turn the tide here?
Well, here's my problem that I have with everybody. You guys are just going to get it first, right? I talk about this all the time on my Michael Cohen podcast. I talk about it on Stephanie Miller radio show when I'm on with her every Wednesday, right? We are not organizing enough. And when I say organizing, there are some major political brands out there that have invested in themselves. I'm looking at you, Indivisible. Great concept. They leave it to everybody to do all the work, but they rake in millions of dollars. And our biggest problem in the resistance is there are no people standing up as leaders. Here's our problem. We are a party who waits for leaders. And if we don't see leadership, we don't provide it ourselves. We still wait for a Gavin Newsom or a Governor Pritzker. And our biggest problem that the Republicans have, no, and I've heard this out of the mouth of former Republicans who were in the room literally helping organize mayhem against Democrats. Democrats will defer to whoever is talking at that moment, but they will not organize around one person. So they're so institutional. For example, if Hakeem Jeffries doesn't say anything, the other 213 Democrats in the caucus, one or two might speak up, but the rest of them go, oh, we're waiting for Hakeem Jeffries, which means right now there is a vacuum of leadership where we, all of us, everyone who's on this Demcast, I'm tasking you out, if you haven't tasked yourselves out, is to learn to work interactively with each other. Make each other the leader. Pump up your body. If you are a cyber army, right? That's what the MAGA guys call themselves. They are singularly focused on their hatred of anyone who's not MAGA. We are not like that. We're just not built like that. But what we don't do is we don't get singularly focused on one message. I did we had a giant protest in DC. We were there. It was led by a lot of veterans, and we brought 25 American flags and handed them out to everybody, right? And what happens in the middle of it? A Free Palestine group jumps in, runs to the front, and is running Palestinian flag banners. Hijacked several hundred people's protest in the defense of democracy. But do I defend their right to the First Amendment? Absolutely. But we've got to learn to stop being single issue voters when, I'll be honest with you, the Free Palestine movement in one state gave one state away. Literally said, do not vote for Democrats, and knowing what we were going to get. Now we've literally got Jared Kushner planning a 25-kilometer beachfront place where they intend to expel 2.2 million people by forcing them to walk somewhere. We cannot shoot ourselves in the foot every time. Love you, love your issues. I had a woman at the last protest I was at in upstate New York, literally screaming at the top of her lungs, you're all complicit in genocide. No, we're not. We have got to focus on the one issue that binds us all, right? The one ring that binds us all. And that is we need to defend and fight for the American experiment. And my biggest problem is we have influencers who will not work with other influencers. We have big ticket influencers with millions of followers who won't even answer a phone call about organizing a project, And so our biggest problem is us. Everyone now, granted, no one's getting a job. Everybody wants to be an influencer. Influencers make their money off of the number of followers. I don't. My YouTube, which I have 150,000 or so followers, I make enough to pay the producers who are from Portland. So I don't make any money off of that, but I do get my message out, which is all that we should be focused on. Get your message out. Yeah, these guys are saying, hey, Mona Nance, must be a distant relative. Yeah, but we have people speaking up, but they're in ones and twos. There are 213 Democrats. They do not come out every afternoon and have a giant fucking press conference. Ken Martin, when's the last time you've heard from Ken Martin? About 2 months ago, he came out and said, I'm going to come to a gunfight with a gun, not a knife. Right? That was the last time I've heard from that guy.
And meanwhile, there's been a
Who is
gunfight,
he?
ongoing gunfight.
Yeah. And it's and you know, we aren't the French. We're not the South Koreans. We cannot turn out on a dime with tens of millions of people. June 14th had an estimated 11.3 million people. We almost made the 3.5% threshold for resistance, for sustained resistance. In September, right? Or I'm sorry, in October, no kings, 7 million. 4 million people did not turn out for the second one. You know why? Because they're 4 months apart. And everybody's like, yeah, go do your own thing. We need to consolidate so that we are not all doing our own thing. And later on, I'm going to talk to you about an initiative that I want to talk about to bring all of you influencers, power players into one room to where we can start strategizing to save democracy.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay.
I definitely, before that, I agree wholeheartedly. I guess my take on what you were just talking about is everybody is waiting for Democrats to stand up. I hear this all the time. Democrats stand up, Democrats stand up. Obviously, there are a handful of folks who are good on social, who are good communicators, who are doing their best. But my take on this is that Democrats are there. Donald Trump is not the problem. I mean, he is the problem, but Donald Trump is not. Donald Trump is the fever. He's not the disease.
Mm-hmm.
The disease goes back a long way, and there is institutional capture at the Supreme Court, in Congress,
Sure.
in the White House. It's the oligarchy, it's dark money, it's all of this stuff, and the Democratic Party is a part of that system, and a not very highly trusted part of that system. So I guess my message to the people is pretty consistently: don't wait for the party to save you. Nobody is coming to save you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and even if and it's not that they don't have a good intent or that they aren't competent or all these things, but the decks are stacked against the opposition party in this case, and it really
Mm-hmm.
has to be
Sure.
people that rise to the top. And so
Well, I think it's
that's
more. I think it's simpler than that. I think it's that they are really caught up in their day job, which is governing.
yeah,
The Republican Party's not governing.
they
The
don't care about
Republican
government,
Party is ruling over.
right?
And they go, well, you know what? If I introduce a resolution, maybe we can hold something that they do up in 30 minutes, right? Or maybe I can make this and it'll look good for us. Okay, that shit has to be set aside.
Right.
And what we're seeing is every time somebody comes in with I'm going to jump into this and I'm going to provide leadership. Good example, which is actually a good medium. The Contrarian. Remember when they fired freaking everybody at the Washington Post, and my friend Jen Rubin and Norm Ormstein created the Contrarian. They got like 100,000 followers in a day, paid, right? Subscribers. I'm a paid subscriber to the Contrarian in a day. But if you're going to jump in and say, hey, we're going to be the big guys running the opposition in the news, then you really need to fucking start bringing everybody who got fired into the news, right? You can't have a Don Lemon doing one thing, a Jim Acosta doing other thing, a Joy Reid doing another thing, three of my favorite people in the world, but they don't have institutional heft. They don't have the ability to bring those Democrats along, because this game is about bringing the Democrats along, not not Norm Ornstein. Okay, I'm sorry. But you have to bring them along. The Republicans did this. Um, so anyway, by the way, I'm speaking rhetorically for those of you who say I use the words always. But we still have to bring them with us. And if we don't bring them with us and we're focused on, you know, on our little thing, like, why are we not having a national protest for what happens with ICE? Right? Why are we, why, it's one thing to go, no kings, but it's not focused enough. We did that one. No kings, right? Defend your constitutional rights. That would be a good one. Because who's going to say, no, I don't want you to have your constitutional rights? I wrote about this in my Times bestseller, The Plot to Destroy Democracy. This country is going into and is now on the threshold of being what I call a constitutional autocracy. That is where the Constitution applies only to his followers, and the rest of us will be treated with autocracy. They will dictate down to us what rights we can and cannot have. 170 American citizens have been rolled up by ICE and detained, and they will lie to your face and say, no, they didn't. So how do we speak as a body? Well, it takes a commitment amongst all of us as individuals and influencers to say, I'm going to speak as a body. I got, I did a interview with Jake Tapper 2 days ago. Worst YouTube interview I've had thus far. I've had talks about coffee with more views than that. And here's the first thing everybody said. I'm sorry, I'm out. Not going to listen to Jake Tapper. Yeah, Jake Tapper stinks. We all know that. But I'm afraid to say it. I'm the first person to ask him straight to his effing face, is Donald Trump crazy? Right? Do you see this on Mediaite? Do you see this on MSNBC? Influencer holds Jake Tapper's feet to the fire. His book on terrorism was excellent. And I've got people out there going, you're rehabilitating Jake Tapper. I will never follow you again. Fuck you. You do not understand the assignment. I'm a Philadelphian. So is he. I am steeped, born and bred in the American experiment. And I asked him right to his face at the end. I gave him his chance. And I said, is your next book going to be about how we're all arrested for speaking out and with the First Amendment and defending American democracy? No one else is asking him these questions. I think he was a little surprised, but hey, I swore my life to this country. We have to stop. We have to give up our little niches, and we have better start fusing together. As a famous friend of mine from Philadelphia said, we will all hang together or we will surely hang alone. Actually, the term was, or we will each one hang separately.
Separately, right. Okay, and that's what you were describing is what the Demcast community is all about. It's about lifting each other up. It's about helping to grow a movement that's egoless and that's focused on doing the right thing. Is there a like if you were to, you said sort of like protecting democracy, protecting constitutional rights, like is that the like if we were going to drumbeat a message, is that what you would focus on?
Actually, over at FAFOPAC, we've been working on a couple of initiatives. The problem is the Three Kings, we actually had an initiative going just before the second No Kings. And, one of the things that I know as an intelligence professional, someone who's worked in psychological operations as well, is that meta narratives are not our strong suit, right?
Yeah.
Donald
Right.
Trump has one meta narrative, and that is make America great again. It's simple, easy to consume, comes in acronym form. It's always tacked on to the last effing thing he says. It's the last thing he says. Oh, we just want to make America great again. Liberals hate America. That's another meta narrative. One of the things that I want to target that we have on the front of our fafopac.org website is what I call overpass takeovers. And we're going to restart this initiative where we're going to pick one weekend where we want all of these people to come on and commit to going to an overpass and putting a message up on that overpass with American flags. And the beautiful part about it is it's a no kings a message. It's a no kings event you can have every day. You can leave the message there. Here's who I want to influence. I don't want to influence you, the guys on the Demcast. I don't want to influence the Republican MAGA guys who were on the road. I want them angry. I want them to think, I can't believe they put that message up there. I want to target the 90 million Americans who didn't vote, right? In some places, you might need a permit, but in most places, if there's a chain link fence up there, you do not need a permit or anything to put up a sign. You just need to put up a sign. One of my favorite signs I saw recently was OMG GOP WTF. I mean, just think about it. The point is, to a person who is, a MAGA guy, they won't care about that. To liberals, they'll get the joke. It's the 90 million people who think about politics, according to best polls, for 1 minute and 30 seconds a day. They don't know their snaps being taken away. And when they tune in to find out it's being taken away, the meta narrative will always be what the news media gives you, which is Democrats close the government, right? You have to create a meta narrative, a framework above and around that, right? Trump Trump lies is one. But what we need to do is try to do it in a synchronized fashion so that there is a message or a series of messages that go down, for example, I-95 from Maine to Key West, to where every overpass, every other overpass, every fifth overpass has a message. If you were to do that, it's like the old Burma shave signs, right? Where people will be looking for the next sign to see. If anyone's ever driven down to South Carolina from like Washington, D.C., I'm from Philadelphia. When I was a kid, we used to drive down, and as we got close to the North Carolina border, there's a place called South of the Border, right? South of the border. Someone says, yeah, Pedro. South of the border starts 100 miles out and does billboards every 2 or 3 miles. And by mile number 10, you're looking for that billboard and you're wondering what the crazy message is. That is one thing we can do, which is none of you need direction. You could go out right now, form your own message, and take over an overpass. Right? That's one.
And you have info on fafopac.org about joining.
Right on the
joining those
website,
efforts.
right?
Yep.
You can go there, register an overpass. It'll come up on our map, right? We're going to shoot for 1,000 overpasses in the United States. So you just go to fafopac.org, go in there, read that. We also have other recommendations for fun trouble, creating your own stickers, creating your own stencils. The point is, don't put your message where you are at. You're right. It is no good putting up Trump sucks or whatever in spray paint in Brooklyn. Doesn't work, right? Go to, Bedminster, New Jersey. Go to an overpass leading to Bedminster, New Jersey, right? And put out a message that will be seen by the, of course, the state police will come around and take it down. Or you could do what I like to do. Go out on a Saturday and hold a 1 hour disco dance party with your signs and your inflatables and wave American flags and make everybody honk at you. Right? You could do this anytime. No kings can happen all the time. So that being said, that's just one example of fun trouble. You can think up all sorts of fun things. We have stuff on our website. Now I want to talk about the message, right? Our biggest problem with messaging is that right now we have no unified message. And our lack of a unified message is as simple as this. The Republicans has spent a decade drafting more, 20 years, drafting Project 2025. And now they are funded by very, very rich billionaires. They meet all the time. They talk all the time. They communicate all the time. They synchronize their messaging all the time. Somebody name for me, and I'm going to watch in your notes there. What is the Democratic, or not even Democratic Party? What is the opposition resistance political action conference that is held every year for Democrats to come together to hear from the most dynamic speakers, to get together and put down their thoughts? What's its name?
That would be the Doesn't Exist conference. No.
Yeah. Remember, if I'm old enough to remember, about 15, 20 years ago, it used to be called Netroots Nation. Used to be a big one. Politicon was another one. We do not have this. We do not seem to give a flying flip about getting together and organizing. And let me tell you where one of my biggest problems with influencers are. Because I went to the DNC in Chicago.
Yeah.
It was
Same.
very hard to get credentials and everything. Everybody, when we were winning, people thought we were winning. When people thought we were winning, they were all for it. I have been told, well, someone is going to have to fly me out. Someone is going to have to pay my expenses. Someone is going to have to be blah, blah, blah. Jamie Carter says there's one planned for next year. What's it say? An off-year Democratic convention. Okay. Well, sorry, I got to get back from my chat. Close my chat. There you go. Yay. The problem is it's a Democratic convention. It is not a convention, or it is not a conference to discuss the existential crisis in America today. And I'm not going to take credit for this. John Leguizamo, the actor, about 2 months ago, made a comment that I thought was just brilliant. He said, where the fuck is our part? Can we say naughty language on here? Sorry, guys.
Oh, of course. Fuck
okay,
yeah, man.
Where the fuck is our Project 2025? Where is it? Where have we, as the resistance, the opposition, decided to write down what we will hold the Democratic Party to and other to, right? And that would require us to hold a Congress or a convention, or, and have a series of continuing never-ending symposiums, right? Where we do what they did, which is get together, right? Project 2029, and draft our own manifesto for what America should be and will be in the future. And that will take us getting experts out there to explain to us that the machine is broken and we may have to build a new machine. But he's not wrong. Our biggest problem is right now our Democratic representatives, who are great people and well-meaning, will not stray from the fold because the fold will not hold them to account, because they are maintaining the platform as it existed when we lost. Yeah. Right? We are not spreading to 3 parties. That's not what I'm talking about. Yeah. I'm talking about, because no, that's just failure. Cornel West and Jill Stein popped up using Koch brother money to take away at least 3 million votes, and worked hard enough to make African Americans especially African-American men, disinterested in this election. So I'm not talking third party. Anybody that ever brings up third party to me, you're dead to me. You're essentially saying you want MAGA to exist forever. So keep it to yourself. That being said, we do need to say what we believe in and offer an alternative vision and take that alternative vision and make our elected representatives hold their feet to the fire that they will commit to it. Here's the thing that somebody, I think it was Joe Walsh who said, whoever runs for the nomination should be held to the commitment that they will level that fucking ballroom on day one. No, and that they will restore the White House. They will remove all monuments to Trump. They will take that if there's construction, and then they will start an investigation on anyone who got a contract. Because if we win the next presidency, he's a king, right? Or queen. So we can play this game too. We can make people afraid of the future. And that's what MAGA is doing to us. They're making us afraid of the future. So what I want to call for, and I will be calling for, and I'm going to, tomorrow, my guest on my podcast is Miles Taylor, who apparently got to Robert De Niro before I could. I've been working on De Niro for about 5 months. I know people who are 1 degree of separation, good friends of his. And we've been calling for them to come with Faith OPAC and make a call for a new constitutional convention or a new American convention. I call it the Convention on the American Crisis. And I'm talking about using Thomas Paine's actual words here. We are in 1773. We are about to receive and already received part of the intolerable acts. That's where we are. We are not in Nazi Germany 1933. We are in Boston 1773, 1774. We're just waiting for the redcoats to fucking shoot us.
Right.
Okay? Trump has already essentially said he will eliminate our representative democracy. He will eliminate take control of our state militias. This is what George III did. And we should take back this terminology of revolutionary patriotism from MAGA. And we need to meet in Philadelphia and put our Project 2029 together, right? 2027 for me, right? Because I think we still have the juice to make this a wave election to maybe we don't, when they cheat, have 40-seat threshold, we have a 20-seat threshold. But if we don't get together and mobilize ourselves, everyone's waiting for the election next year.
Right.
We're going to lose. We're going to lose badly. So that's my call, right? So if you guys think about this, give it some thought. So maybe we'll do a future Demcast. Give it some thought because I'm going to be meeting with Miles Taylor tomorrow, who has just formed an organization called Defiant.org. And it sounds good. It's awesome. He's a former Trump national security guy from Department of Homeland Security. But has anybody noticed it's always former Republicans speaking the loudest?
It's
Michael
true.
Cohen, Joe Walsh, Michael Steele. Somebody explain to me why they are stronger, braver, and have bigger mouths than we do. So we need to come together, call up all the influencers, all the former politicians, all the government workers that have been formed, and create a platform in which we promise to do some things. Here's another thing I would like to promised on day one. Every person who was fired through the riffing, everybody who was fired due to DEI, every person who was fired will be offered to return to government, either as a contractor or as direct hire, and they will get 4 years of back pay. The same way they're going to repay all these people for January 6th. Then the third thing we will do in the first 5 minutes is we will abolish ICE as an organization. But we have to do it in such a way that we remove their right to carry weapons as a former federal law enforcement officer. A lot of things got to get done. But you notice no one's writing this shit down. That's all I'm saying. This is what we need to do as a body. And I think influencers and former politicians, we can create what people have been saying, which is a shadow government. This is where the French, the Romanians, the Serbians, the Hungarians, the South Koreans, they have us beat because they fucking do the resistance job every day, all day, and aren't sitting to see how many subscribers they have. They get together and they go do it.
Right. Well,
What do you guys think about that idea?
based on the comments, I think people are pretty fired up.
Okay, be fired up because we're going to be calling for it. I'm going to
Yeah.
ask Miles Taylor tomorrow. I'm going to say, you got your new defiant.org. You want to explain to us if you're going to provide leadership or are you just fucking talking like everybody else? Right. Leadership means why haven't you gotten the 10 biggest effing mouths in the room and have them go do MSNBC and Fox News and Newsmax and OANN and, you know, some of the guys who are out there getting in their face like Grant Stern, guys who go on OANN and call them liars to their face.
Yep.
You know, this is the only way we're going to get our message out is to unify and spread it.
Well said, sir. And I do appreciate that you are, and all of us do, I think, that you are not afraid to push the envelope, to push people, to challenge people.
Look, you guys, straight up, you got to start hitting these guys back with your mama jokes. Okay? MAGA thinks that, real quick, MAGA thinks that you are the genteel liberal who is just going to be, you're going to take it. You know what somebody said to me yesterday after somebody attacked me and they go, your people, oh, this is all they do is complain and spew hatred when your people don't get their food stamps. To me, they said that. And my response was, your mama doesn't pay me in food stamps. You know? And you know what the next comment was? You're supposed to be an MSNBC, you know, contributor, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you don't like it when we play this game. I was in the Navy for 20 years. That meant all I did all day, every day was insult people and take insults and make yo mama jokes. We have to get that meta narrative. I now have your attention that I'm not playing your game, right? Yeah. I did that on Real Time with Bill Maher with what's his name? Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, by the way, was handed $10 million when he was like 25 years old. Then he was handed $50 million by Sheldon Adelman. We have no Ben Shapiros on our side being paid this kind of money. And you know how I disarmed him with this old, you know, CRT talk? Oh, Malcolm, you support critical race theory. I said, is this what you do on your show? Because you suck at it. Done. Done with Ben Shapiro. Get in their face and fight.
Nice. Well, I hope you set up a training for
I can do that
for the entire
we'll have
the entire party apparatus in particular. Yeah. Malcolm, we've got a series of just housekeeping crap that we have to do at the end here. This has been
an How long does this go? 10
minutes? Yeah, pretty much. This has been a delight. Thank you so much for joining and inspiring everybody and just firing us up, you know. Get loud, get real, take it all back.
So have fun. Getting those inflatables. Big fan of the inflatables. I said that on Stephanie Miller's show. I said there's one frog out there. I want to see 100 next week. Now they're giving out costumes, right? Go get in your inflatables. Have a good time.
Love it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Malcolm.
My pleasure, guys.
All right, Jamie. You want to lead us in with the other business?
Yeah. So I know he was talking about no kings, and there was actually 2 million more last time. So I just want to clear that up. Because the first one, there were rumors that there was 11 million people. That was not accurate. It was 5 million. The second time, there were 7 million to 7.5. So we're getting there. But the No Kings Coalition is not going away. It is now the No Kings Alliance. We are proud partners of this. And every Wednesday, there will be new calls to action from the No Kings Alliance. And the next day of action will probably be sometime in January, the next big protest day. November's and December, very hard to organize that. So look for that kind of information. And last week, the No Kings Alliance was really pushing out food bank donations. And so there were about 5,000 small events throughout the country of literally just dropping off food items for people who were losing SNAP benefits. And then we all know tomorrow might be something going on tomorrow. Maybe?
Oh, is there? Huh.
Huh.
What would that be?
So elections tomorrow. We have some big ones. We all know New Jersey, Virginia. I have gotten quite a few DMs today of when we can expect results. So New Jersey and Virginia, we expect, unless it's super close, around midnight Eastern time. And then New York, we're probably going to get, it'll probably be our first results for New York mayor. And that will probably be at around 11 p.m. Eastern time. There has been a lot of early voting. So New York City will probably be the first results we get in tomorrow. Then we have Pennsylvania Supreme Court races. These are retention races, and we probably won't get those results till Wednesday. And then California Prop 50. Don't expect results for about a week.
Yep.
It's California.
Yep.
We could get it earlier if it is a landslide victory. If it is a landslide victory, we could get that as early as Wednesday or Thursday. If it's a nail biter, it could be 1 week. It could be up to a month. California lets ballots counts ballots up to 7 days after election if they were postmarked before election day. So if people mail in their ballots tomorrow, they will still be counted and they have a full week to get there. And then the last big race tomorrow to watch is Texas. There is technically a U.S. House race tomorrow. However, it is a jungle primary. It's turning into a jungle primary. There are 16 candidates all on one ballot. If nobody gets 50%, it will go to a runoff election sometime in February. So that is one to watch. And the crazy part about the Texas is they're doing it under the new maps and not the existing maps. And so this is actually more of a Republican leaning district now. And so it will be really interesting to see. That will give us a snapshot into 26. So there is still going to be a chunk of people in Texas that have no representation.
All right. Well,
Yeah, Johnson will only swear him in. Oh, and then the last thing is if you're in the elections room, stay in there because we have a Tennessee race coming up.
Yep.
Early voting starts November 12th, I believe, and the race is December 2nd. This is a seat we can flip. It's an R12. So
there you go. Okay. And hang on, I'm pulling up a document here. I have another announcement. From Jennifer. Okay. So as many of you know from our announcements and past conversations, we have a new content curation team. This crew helps power our storytelling engine. So our curators are basically like digital scouts out there finding stories that move people, moments of resistance, acts of impact, calls to action that remind us of why we do this work. You don't need to edit or download anything. Just find a link to something that's an effective piece of comment and drop it in a group. And so if it's something that makes you angry, hopeful, proud, those are all signs that that kind of content belongs in the group. And then what we do with that is we take that content, we put it into our reach, we put it into our toolkits, and we just spread it everywhere, right? So even if you don't necessarily want to join the team per se, you can still be a curator. And so we are going to be opening a Signal room for those of you who are on Signal for our Demcast volunteers to share great content that you find in the wild, stories, videos, posts that fit our lenses that we've talked about of resistance, impact, and action. And so we're looking for people to raise their hands for that. And so I'm going to drop a link in the chat here to the Google form where you can.
That's in the doc that we've been sharing as well.
Yep. It's in the doc, but that's the direct link to the form. So feel free to fill that out. Like it's no, again, like low pressure, just like, hey, I saw this and it's really effective. And then you can just drop the link to us, and then that helps feed our pipeline of content that goes into all of the spreading of Demcast. So appreciate everybody who's willing to help out with that.
So Pat asked if there's any alternative ideas for the overpass for those in rural areas. What we've done in some of our rural areas in Utah is we've taken a big board that's been laying around and spray painting it and putting it on the side of a road. Because if you're rural, there's always pieces of wood laying around, and just literally spray painting it and then sticking it in the side of a road.
Other Q&A questions or anything else we need to touch on before we go? It's 5:00 Pacific.
6:00 Mountain, and it's dark.
I know, it's so dark. It's so dark. Damn you, daylight savings.
And in the notes doc, we have the links for our elections toolkit. Please share that tomorrow. So.
Oh yeah. Everybody share the heck out of the elections toolkit tomorrow.
We've
please,
got
please,
elections
please.
and Prop 50. So just share tomorrow. So.
And Jamie, will the recording be made available?
Yes, I will get it up on YouTube by tomorrow.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Well,
have a good night. Let's go
I
win
think
tomorrow.
we're good. Thanks, everybody. All right. We'll see you soon.